Gets open for three. Dagger!
The kick in, here it comes. Swing and a miss! And a World Series Game 7 winning Curly W is in the books.
Washington Capitals are the 2018 Stanley Cup champions. You like that? You like that? I like that.
You gotta like that, right?
My approval ratings keep going up.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business.
Oh, guys, I'm dejected. Welcome in. This is Defeating the Curse. Joe, Stevie, FP on
Gloomy Friday.
Misery, gloomy, disgusting Friday. The Commanders go out and completely shit the bed. 1 zillion%. Worst possible outcome. The worst team in the league comes to your building in front of a sellout in primetime. You lose by 20 points, and you weren't competitive the entire game. I honestly, I was ready to pod last night at halftime, and the comments I would have made then are the same comments I'm going to make right now. It's over. Jack Del Rio, goodbye. I've seen everything you've got in your arsenal over the last 4 years. You're finished. Ron, take your stance and your really nice watch. Get the F out of DC. Like, any goodwill, anything positive that came over the summer. Burgundy and sold. By the way, I think Josh, I think our owner is still, down on Half Street partying it up. He was completely unaware, it looked like, what was happening on TV. I mean, he was there. He was in the building, just completely punched out, maybe not connecting the dots. You got another owner sitting like 10 feet away from him, and Magic Johnson doing like in-game like recaps. I don't know what's going on over there, but like, I don't want Dan back, but I would kill to have an actual coach that shows like a monicum of passion about winning a football game. Yesterday was embarrassing. Yesterday was disgusting. They played like the trash bags they were wearing. Like, F the black uniform, F the coaching staff. I don't want to hear about any single person on this team anymore. I love Terry. If he's worth a draft pick, you got to go. Like, and it's not against him. This team has to start 100% has to start over. There's not a single player. Maybe the exception is the quarterback. Maybe. Everybody else, goodbye. Just or frankly, take the stupid team and move it to London, and just, I'd rather have no team than continue to live in this effing nightmare as a Redskins no-name football team Commanders fan. I hate my life. I'm done. Thank you. Stevie, FP, you can talk for the next 45 minutes.
I mean, how are we going to follow that? FP, I think we're going order of most angry.
This is where I'm at now.
So
I'm going to start.
I'll go last.
Do you know who AFC Richmond is? This is a fake team, okay? This is what I'm going to do from now on. I'm going to support fake teams that can't ruin my life.
FP, I'm least angry, but I'm angry, but I think I'm least angry. So please, go ahead. I'll provide some perspective, so no need to provide any perspective.
I've been thinking since the game ended, what exactly does Ron Rivera do? And what is he responsible?
He doesn't coach. He couldn't be bothered to
the whole show. No one's going to get a word in.
But that's my entire point.
What are you doing at halftime to make adjustments? Oh, I took a shit and let the team talk to themselves. They came out hot and scored a touchdown. So you're basically telling me you're completely useless.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I still had the rage that is in Joe's voice. I let it all word vomit out in 700 different texts and threads and tweets. This to me is worse than the massacre on Monday night against the Eagles. That's how bad this loss feels.
Yes, because you were supposed to lose that game.
Correct.
You're supposed to beat the Bears when they have exactly one receiver that's of an NFL caliber in DJ. There's one receiver caught any ball from a quarterback who can't throw the ball. One receiver and two slow-ass tight ends.
Who was drafted by Ron Rivera, by the way. But the point is, this team, out of all the terrible losses that we've had, of the Lions going winless but beating the Redskins, of the Seahawks never winning a playoff game and then beating us, this is a loss that just encapsulates all the dysfunction, and it has nothing to do with Dan. This is purely and strictly Ron Rivera and his 4-year project and nothing happening. Everybody in the entire world.
Has anything changed since Ron got here? We have a worse name. We have worse uniforms. We are the exact same on the field. He is a loser coach who
we are worse
completely lucked his way into a job and then got to keep it because of COVID, and then got to keep it because the previous owner was inept, and then got to be part of the rebranding of the team. I'm 100% done with Ron. Nice knowing you. Get out of DC.
Someone else talk, for the love of God. Okay,
Ron Rivera needs to go.
FP is sedated over there. Like, did you watch the game I watched?
I'm broken. I have no more fire in me. You cannot keep asking the fans after Snyder sells to come in and sell out the stadium. We've given up. I think we've scored 6 points in our last 3 home games and given up 5,000. You can't put this product on the field. You can't have the fan base who has very clearly shown we are ready to give our 500% support back to this franchise, back to this city, back to this team after Snyder leaves. And then this is the poo-poo you put on the field. And it's not even the offense. This is the defense that's giving up 40
Hold on. Bieniemy's not getting out.
No. Bieniemy's not. No, we'll tackle into Bieniemy.
Can I
But
speak?
This defense gave up 40 points, Steve. 40 points. We have 7,000 first-round picks on this defense. Emmanuel Forbes, I've been saying it for weeks, is a giant bust, and he got benched for Danny Johnson.
I don't care about Forbes. I'm going to say this right now. I don't care about Emmanuel Forbes. He's a rookie.
I don't care about anybody on this team.
He's fine. Yes, he's getting
Can
burned.
I
He's
talk?
He's fine. What I care about is stupid Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio and their defense first methodology. Who the hell in the NFL is building around the defense in 2023?
I will absolutely come to Springfield and pin you down right now, Joe. Okay, I've been working out. There's nothing you could do that I can come over to Springfield right now and pin you down. So let me talk, because no one should be more upset on this podcast than me. I texted FP about 2 hours ago because my children want to buy Commanders jerseys for our trip to Atlanta next week to go watch. I just did. I paid for expedited shipping. Expedited shipping.
We're back on the boycott. No way. I'm telling you, I'm supporting fake teams from now on. I'm going to wear Ted Lasso shirts, and that's it.
Listen. Random thoughts here, because everyone's angry. The most vindicated human being in the world last night was Daniel M. Snyder. I have no idea what his middle name is. Daniel M. Snyder, the most vindicated man in the world. That's one thing. Nothing changes with new ownership. So everyone that said he was the problem, I for years defended that little Jewish guy. But he is not the problem. It had nothing to do with him. There was a business
problems
on the business side of things, absolutely. But he let the team do whatever they want. It is very clear we have a franchise quarterback, and I'm thrilled about that. We have a franchise quarterback that probably 20 teams in the NFL would kill to have our quarterback situation, which is the only thing that matters in this QB run league. So everyone just settle the hell down, okay? Everything else needs to go.
Everyone? Yes, we can.
Everything else needs to go, but
honestly, this isn't it's about the Bears. The Bears were barely an NFL team coming into Thursday night. They looked like, if you knew nothing else about the sport or about the records or anything else, you would be asking yourself some basic questions. If yesterday was the first football game you ever watched, you would come in and say, hey, this guy DJ Moore, he's the only one catching the ball that plays wide receiver. Why don't they put 2 people on him? That's the first question. Okay. The second question is going to be, this Justin Fields guy, he looks like he's the best quarterback to ever play the game. He only had to complete 15 passes out of he went 50% accuracy or 50% completion.
Can I answer any of these questions?
They're not. No, they're rhetorical. This team sucks.
You said the Bears barely have a football team. We barely have an offensive line. We don't have an offensive line. We barely have.
Their offensive line is worse than our offensive line. Their defensive line got 5 sacks, and we can't name a single. They all work for UPS. They're not actual NFL players. They were schemed. Ron Rivera lost to Matt, whatever his last name is, who lit it like he's not a coach. We lost to an amateur football team.
Ron Rivera is not a
Stevie, they hadn't won a game in 337 days, and they came in and looked like they are literally playing for a playoff berth. They're 0-4, like zero urgency from the players. That's not on Ron. That's on the players. Zero adjustments. The asshole during halftime literally told the sideline reporter, "I did nothing at halftime." Well, why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you going for 2 in this game, but like 4 days ago, going for 2 to win the game, totally out of the question. But in this case, we're going to go for 2, and then your quarterback is getting ping-ponged all over the field trying to get yards, and then you go for a stupid field goal. Like, what? I like people who only play Madden can coach this team right now better. Have Magic Johnson coach the team. That guy at least understands, like, winning and emotion.
I brought up some real questions in the chat that no one answered for me, which I agree 100%, Joe. Rivera's gone. Grant Paulson had I think Grant Paulson had the best tweet of the night, which is that they showed Ron Rivera 20 times, and not one time was he actually speaking to anybody or using his headset or microphone or whatever. Rivera needs to go. But what are the mechanisms that who is making the decisions? Like, for every other NFL team, there is a clear front office.
Hold himself accountable. If he has any,
he's not gonna hold himself accountable. He's making millions of dollars.
He has to hold Jack Del Rio. Jack Del Rio is out of moves. He's out of scheme. Like, he's been here for 4 years. It's been the same. It's been the same players and the same coach. So you're either going to look at this and say the players aren't doing what the coach is asking them to do, or you're going to say the coach doesn't have any way. Like, he can't coach them any differently. You have to make a change right now. This team is on pace to give up a historic amount of points.
Joe,
they're giving up 17 points, not a game.
He's not listening. How are your kids doing? How is your wife doing?
The truth is, Ron Rivera is holding this team hijacked because he somehow sold Dan Snyder on a bill of goods that put me as a coach-centric GM, everything under me, Bill Belichick model, and he is not proven to be worthy of that. And the thing is, if you want Ron to fire JDR, he's not going to do it. He's going to say what he always says, the truth of the matter is, and then spew out some garbage bullshit. He's going to say it was a short week. The players were emotional. We have to look at the tape and review what we did. And he always says the truth of the matter is, but Ron Rivera, the GM, absolutely god-awful. Can somebody tell me what the 2 Martys do? Absolutely nothing. They used to have a pass because we drafted well. That's a complete scam. And then you have Ron Rivera, the head coach, doesn't do anything like Stevie said. Mike always flipped up, arms crossed, half asleep. Who knows what he's doing on the sideline? EB is out here trying his best, but EB doesn't know this team. EB doesn't know the players, and that's why Jamison Crowder and Pringle are getting passes, and not Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin.
That's an excellent point. Do you remember what happened a few months ago when the players started complaining about Eric Bieniemy? Do you remember why they were complaining?
Because they weren't used to working?
Because he was making them practice.
Yes.
Because he was actually trying to change the culture and instill some discipline. And guess what they did? They went and complained to the head coach, and the head coach didn't know how to handle it.
He threw the coordinator under the bus.
He threw EB under the bus. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, he threw his coordinator, his assistant head coach, under the bus after they. I still don't understand how or why he came to this team, but like the game plan to start yesterday, not great. Okay, they made adjustments. Like, you can find fault with the offense for sure. Logan not going down, the fumble. Yes, we can nitpick that, but you're missing kind of the forest for the trees when you do that. The defense, they were out of the game literally by the at the end of the first
3 minutes
drive. At the end of the first
3
drive,
minutes to score on us.
That's right. They should have given up that touchdown that they ended up giving up on the first drive. Should have happened a play or two before, and Justin Fields just missed DJ Moore. Right, like They were playing from behind the entire night. They came out flat. Like, what did they ask the fans to do? Show up and cheer for us in our trash bag uniforms. I hate the black uniforms. Like, it looks like an amateur team or a high school team or a rec league team. It looks terrible, but leave that aside for a second. Okay, it's going to be a blackout. Well, you didn't bother telling anybody. Like, most of your fans aren't on social media 24/7 to understand that, but that's even beside the point. Oh, and by the way, it was supposed to be a blackout. Oh, by the way, the opponent that you're playing happens to have what color in their color scheme? Black. So what does it look like when you come to Washington, D.C. for a blackout game against the Bears team that has black as part of their uniform? What does it look like? It looks like we don't give a shit as fans. Like, it's the same stupidity. Like, how can we see it being 30 miles away from Redskins Park? How can we see it? And the assholes in the building don't understand, like, the basics. And honestly, Harris is in a very difficult spot right now. Like, if he starts tinkering, the fans will kill him. And like, that'll be the shortest honeymoon ever, because that's what
also his lack of tinkering is getting him killed right now. Well, having a smile on his face and drinking a beer is getting him crucified on the radio.
Where I think Magic is going to prove to be very useful as a minority owner, because he's going to be able to do some of this stuff that he's doing right now and putting out these tweets, these kind of passive aggressive, like, we need to make a change type things, without Harris having to do it. Because if you recall, one of the things that caused people to love Dan initially was he started tinkering. He wanted, like, people were excited that they had an owner who was willing to, like, shake things up. But 25 years later, the fan base can't, like, I'm not built for that, man. Like, I can't have that happen again.
If we are resting our hopes on our football team on Magic Johnson, the owner who's got 3% stake in this, okay.
I got nothing else. I watched the team yesterday. Steve, I don't even know what team I was watching. Like how can you, like, Herbert is a fine running back, okay, but he's not 8 yards to carry fine.
Well, if we could ever talk about some actual football right now, is
you talk about Chase. You want to talk about his inability to steal a corner? You want to talk about that?
I actually was trying to talk about Chase in the sense of, I don't know. I mean, I'm salivating over the pocket that Justin Fields had in those first, in that first half, in those first two quarters. And but the reality is, if I'm being honest, the second half, the defensive line got way after him, got much more pressure on him. And I don't know how the same players on the same field on the same night could look so different in a one quarter versus another quarter. I don't.
They talked amongst themselves at halftime.
Yeah, they coached each other up.
Honestly, it's fascinating. So, like, it's not a talent thing. They were getting after him. But what happened in that first half from a defensive line standpoint is unacceptable.
And I know people are going to kill, like, FP was. We're right to kill Forbes. Okay, Forbes in 2 games now has gotten roasted by the opposing team's #1 pass catcher. Okay, if you go back 4 days or 5 days, you look at the Eagles' offense. There's other players on that offense that can catch the ball, primarily Devonta Smith. Like, they've got other pieces that can burn you as well. The Bears, Justin Fields completed passes to 3 players. Only one of those 3 players was a wide receiver, and he caught all of the balls. So, like, how are you as Jack? Again, if you know nothing about football, and that was the first game you've ever watched, when DJ Moore is torching you on the outside, just annihilating you, and the box score doesn't tell the whole story, right? He went 8 for 230. That could have easily been, 10 catches for like 300 yards and 4 touchdowns because of the ones that were overthrown. How can you, as a defensive coordinator, how can Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, I know, like, that's like, they're obviously the front 4. How do you not look to the assholes behind you and say, like, shadow the one guy that they're scheming open? And frankly, Matt Eberflus, like, how can the Bears scheme open one guy? Like, no other team, only the Commanders can completely piss away an opportunity like this in the fashion that they did. It's only one guy that they schemed open all night.
And the enemy can't scheme any of your stars open. Somehow we're never able to scheme Terry or Jahan. Are they just not good? Can they just not get open?
No,
it's cool.
No. Guys, in typical Commanders fashion, as fans, right? We're watching late into the third quarter, and there's false hope and promise, and for 2 games now in a row, Terry doesn't get a call that should have gone his way. The pass interference is pass interference. I don't know why they're not calling it, but
Benjamin St. Juste pass interferes on basically every play.
and he still got
And he doesn't get caught.
right? But like we're
can we
clinging
just
to hope. And then Joey Sly, like all of Ron's guys, all of them, from the pharmaceutical tech who's in jail for whatever he was doing from a couple seasons ago. People forget about him. That's his guy from Carolina. All the Martys and all the Carolina crap that he brought in here to Joey Sly, like all of them, just go away.
Honestly, I think last night was the best indication that offensive line after quarterback is probably the second most important thing
100%.
that you can have on a football field. Justin Fields, who is no more talented than Sam Howell or probably 20 other quarterbacks, looked like Tom Brady behind that O-line when he had time. So that's why you say, FP, we couldn't get Dotson up, we couldn't get McLaurin up. Yeah, maybe, but they probably were getting open, but just needed another second. And Sam Howell, when he had time in the third quarter, when the Bears dropped back and were essentially playing prevent defense, went down the field and scored a touchdown in under 3 minutes.
Right, but
about 6 plays.
needing that other second is a $400 million investment back into this line just to get that extra second. What I'm saying is somehow Crowder and Pringle were running slants and getting the ball. That's not what I want to talk about right now. What I want to talk about is I want to go back to kind of the concept of this entire team. For 4 years, we have been told we're going to build up this roster, plug in a quarterback, start winning. Suddenly, by the grace of God and a miracle, not by Ron Rivera being a heads-up coach or looking at the practice film day in and day out of his own damn roster, Sam Howell emerges from the ashes, and he is a quarterback that can actually play. Him paired with Bieniemy, this offense has proven 30 points, not that hard for this offense to achieve. Usually it's coming from behind, but still, that 30-point mark is not that hard for this offense to achieve. That was not the case 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. It would be unheard of for us to get into the high 20s, 30 points. But suddenly, now with an offense that has the ability to score, you're going to tell me everything else, every single facet of the game, every single layer, the wheels have fallen off. Every single component of this team has fallen down the second you found the quarterback that can play for you. That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is all you need to talk about.
Everything else has failed. Yes. Yes.
I don't care about the ball.
We ran the ball 6 times total. Six design run plays.
Bieniemy passed 55, called 55 passing plays straight yesterday. From the middle of the second quarter to the end of the game, he called 55 pass plays. Do you know what that fact is? That is the most consecutive pass plays called in the history of the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus.
Yeah,
that is an insane stat.
Bad. It's laughably bad. Right. And on 55 or 4 of them, there were sacks. And then the rest, I mean, it was just bad. I mean, you look at the box score and Sam goes for 388 and you're like, it's all empty calories. Like I'm not going to.
Cousins, we had a quarterback with that many passing yards.
I'm not getting excited about it because it basically didn't count as far as I'm concerned.
If
Brian Robinson,
you just have half a defense, you keep the Bears from scoring more than 14. This game, I want to crucify EB and the offense and the O-line and all of that. I don't care about that right now. I care about the Chicago Bears with a fullback as their main running back because everybody else is injured, with one wide receiver, as you alluded to, and a quarterback who was about to be benched and nobody believed in him, and a coach who's about to get fired.
Coach who would have
40.
A coach who would have been fired this morning if he lost last night.
Correct.
Survived.
But
and an offensive line that no
defense.
One can name a single player on.
A defense,
FP that had generated a total of 2 sacks coming in, got 4 or 5 last night. This was a complete failure across the board.
Listen,
if you were Josh Harris and you were Ron Rivera, if you want to save yourselves for the next 9 days before our next game, just fire JDR. That's all you got to do.
That's not enough. I'm sorry, it's not enough.
It's not enough, but it will keep the hounds at bay. You just
I-
fire JDR.
JDR would be at the Capitol with the Trump sign in about 30 minutes. Okay.
Good for
Now,
him.
the other big thing is the story that no one is talking about is Josh Harris had to hear the Redskins chant and change the name.
I know you're joking about the JDR thing, but he did get caught up in something a couple years ago, right? Where his political leanings came out and it put pressure on the players. Like, does that in some very small way or maybe in a major way factor in that they won't play for him? Like,
No,
these
not
guys
at
are too good. Like, there's no pride. There's no pride for them. There's no emotion on that sideline at all.
You know what it comes down to is money.
Yeah. No player gives a crap about anything except putting good product on the field on film to get paid. That's all they care about.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, Joe. They don't play for Jack Del Rio. They play for money. They play for themselves. So, but I'm saying I don't think they play for any liberal or political or, you know.
I'm saying maybe he lost some of them, or maybe they don't fully buy in. But like my whole point with JDR is like,
who cares if Cody Barton doesn't buy into JDR? He's hot garbage.
Well, Cody Barton wouldn't be the issue, but there's no I mean, at this point, like, there's nothing else. Like, for a while, he would blame like a player. It was Willie Jackson. He's the wrong guy in the scheme. It was Landon Collins. We're gonna play him at what was the stupid thing that Buffalo corner or Buffalo nickel or some made up position so he didn't get it all in his feelings, right? Like, everyone was being played out of position. Like, there was always something with JDR. He's got effectively the same four up front. They've lost some of their pieces, yes, like Settle and whatever. But like, forget about all that. The scheme isn't going to change here. He's not going to go in today and install a new defensive scheme for Atlanta. And frankly, if you're the Falcons and you watch that game last night, you're gonna use all three of your running backs, and I think they'll have Cordero Patterson back as well. You're gonna run Bijan. You're gonna run your stud running back 100 times. And you're going to throw passes to one receiver, or you're going to find wherever Forbes or Fuller, or none of them can cover anybody. None of them can catch a cold at this point. So just target whoever you want. It doesn't matter. And just run the ball because they're not going to be able to stop it anyway. Jamin Davis, I mean, I'm scrolling all the way down in the box score. Your boy Jamin got, two tackles yesterday. 2 tackles and an assist. Cody 5 and 3 and gave up a killer touchdown. And he's the most leaky linebacker in the league. Like, if he lined up pre-snap in the correct position, which would be 1.5 yards to 2 yards behind where he was, he wouldn't have been beat for that touchdown. Like, those are details. Like, these are details things. Like, yes, they stink maybe from a like high-end talent perspective, fine. But every other team, including the Bears, is getting more done with arguably far less talent defensively. It's embarrassing. There's no other way to put it. It's embarrassing.
Okay, so get rid of JDR. Literally bring in anybody off the street, and they probably coach better. If you watched the halftime show yesterday, Richard Sherman was sitting there, and he pointed out 4 things back to back to back by looking at the film. And I guarantee you, JDR and whatever defensive back coach that replaced whatever he was that left last year had no idea that is something that they can address, tell the players during halftime, and coach up the team. None of our coaches coach the team. They all just kind of show up there. Nobody's talking on the sideline. I don't know. Nobody's doing anything.
They got some up in the booth. Like, I don't know if you can take it that.
No, nobody is coaching anyone, but Bieniemy is the only one that looks like he knows how to talk on the sideline.
Yeah, nobody, and the players complained about him to run. Like, he's too in my face. He's making me practice too hard.
Listen,
we're going too hard.
Taking square pegs and shoving them and jamming them into round holes, and nothing fits. Forbes is great at zone. Suddenly, he's playing man. Like, nothing makes sense. There's no order.
More importantly, FP, I'm about to piss away $150 on these stupid Commanders jerseys for my children.
Go on the fake websites and get the throwback Redskins stuff off of what's that crazy website? Get the old stuff. Don't buy any of this.
That's what I'm trying to bring up. Is if you're Josh Harris and you hear a "Let's Go Redskins" chant on a Thursday night in your stadium, how do you not change the name?
What is he here?
I
He
think
has to change the name.
listen,
doesn't
all
care.
fans agree Commanders is a terrible name. We can argue over is Redskins possible? No, it's not. And the political and the whatever, Red Hogs, Red Wolves, War Hogs, whatever. Everyone universally agrees that Commanders is terrible, right? And for Prime or Fox or CBS to go out of their way to mute the fans, like it all makes us look like a dispassionate fan base, right? Like for me, podcast aside, everything aside, I'm a fan of the team. Right? I've been marginalized and disrespected repeatedly by this franchise. And it includes what happened yesterday, but the broadcasters get on board with it too. When you go to Arrowhead in Kansas City, everybody's chopping away and it's all fine and whatever. Nobody cares.
Yo, you sound like a tree-hugging liberal victim, okay? You're not a victim here,
Listen,
okay?
everyone else plays the victim card. I'm playing it.
Don't be oppressed. You're not oppressed.
Consistent emotional distress. Okay,
What are they supposed to chant? Let's go commies. Let's lean into how bad the name is.
Bro
Start
needs a
chanting,
safe
"Let's go
space right now.
commies."
Left hand up, FP. Left hand up.
Where's your safe space, Joe?
Well, I mean, I don't know where this team goes from here. There's nobody in their right mind would pick them to beat the Falcons after they won't. They based on how they played yesterday, they won't win another game this season.
My
Right?
prayer is that Desmond Ridder somehow gets benched and Heineke is the guy to dismantle this team.
Well, let Heineke be the final nail in the coffin of Ron Rivera.
Yes, the last 4 years, the best this team has looked is when the defense gets hype over something that Heineke does, and Heineke is controlling the offense himself by throwing YOLO balls to Terry. That is the best this team has looked. They come out flat. Heineke does some Heineke voodoo magic play, and then everybody wakes up out of their comatose and starts playing harder. Suddenly the defense performs. Suddenly the offense looks better, and the fan base rejoices. What does Ron do? Yanks out Heineke, puts Wentz back in. It's just over and over and over again. The most inexplicable, dumbass move.
Is there one? Can you in your mind recall one coaching move from Ron that was like, oh, wow, that was amazing. He's got a good read on the team. Maybe it's just relevancy bias, but I cannot remember. I mean, 3 days ago,
I can think of plenty of times his coaching moves made no sense. Like every time we play the Giants, when you have to go for 2 to win and you don't, or you do go for 2 and you don't get the overtime. Like every single decision Ron has ever made.
And it feels like literally feels like we are on the precipice of having the 3 triangle. Remember that nonsense with whichever coach couldn't coach, and he had like a time specialist guy, and then the bingo.
Yeah,
Al Saunders. I love Al.
Which coach was that under? I don't even remember right now.
Zorny, horny for Zorny.
Zorny. Yeah. So like I feel like we're so close to having a bunch of fake coaches.
Come on, Joe. Let me
over here, and you're gonna be player reps and analytics over here, and you're gonna speak into like Ron needs another, like he only wears that one earpiece. He needs a second earpiece that tells him when the camera's on him, so he can look like he's doing something.
Joe, you know enough. Do you know too much football? And FP knows too much football to think that the coach has that much of an impact on a team. Now, it's the easiest thing in the world to fire the coach. It's the lowest hanging fruit, and that's why everyone does it. But
I mean, are you suggesting he doesn't have?
What do you mean they don't have impact?
Primary job, Stevie.
Look at what McDaniels did in Miami. What Andy Reid does in Kansas City. Like there's an immediate impact.
I'm talking in season.
Guy. Shanahan, I'm talking ex-Redskins guy. LaFleur, ex-Redskins guy. They're all over the freaking league. The Jay Gruden tree's everywhere. Successfully everywhere.
I'm talking in season to make it's the easiest thing to do. You can't fire an offensive tackle.
They fired. They brought in,
hold on.
Pause. Stupid Jeff Saturday from wherever he was.
Are you telling me right now? If Ron Rivera were to be fired today, and Harris is like, EBU or interim head coach, you don't think this team would look just a little bit more prepared, a little bit more coherent? From the top down, they would have a little bit more organization from at least a strategy and game day move. 100% they would.
I don't think anything
doesn't have to go up to the moron that is Ron Rivera.
They need to cut Joey Sly immediately. They need to activate another running back.
Yeah,
they need
that's
to
my
go
sister's
for it on every fourth down moving forward.
Hold on. What would change in the offense if Ron Rivera disappeared tomorrow?
Nothing.
What would change?
Nothing.
But listen, that's what I'm trying to tell you. The offense still is putting up 30 points.
No, I take that back. If you go back in time and you remove Ron Rivera, EB goes for it against the Eagles and wins the game.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
And we go into last night as 3-1. Yes,
and they probably
maybe they come out just a little bit better than they did yesterday.
I don't think EB allows this team to come and fight.
I want
here's the
everyone
problem with Ron Rivera. LP said it yesterday during
fire
the game.
JDR, fire Jason Wright and his stupid black uniforms. I mean, we literally look like we're wearing like those sauna suits. It looks like shit.
Let me give a shout out to LP.
You can't. Just stop talking.
Let me give a shout out to LP.
I stopped talking 10 minutes ago.
LP made this observation. Ron Rivera is so out of touch with this team that he is probably on a primetime game or a late slot game. Ron Rivera probably still has the team wake up at 7 a.m., meet for early meetings, kind of just because he has that militaristic approach to life. And he is probably just doing dumb things like that. Just dumb, stupid things that causes his team
to
come out flat.
Maybe he was sad. Who knows? Maybe the Bears got an extra shot in the ass because one of the team's legends passed away. Like there's a million of these examples, or shoulda, wouldas, or like what I know is what I can see. What I see is a guy on the sideline who is not engaged in the game. Like when your team is down, like you can't, like the logic and the thought process, go for two here. We're not going to go for it here. The quarterback's fighting for every inch, but we're going to kick a field goal. Cut Joey Sly. Cut the long snapper. We're no longer engaging in field goal opportunities moving forward. That's it.
I mean, that is an amazing leap to say if Ron Rivera is more engaged on the sideline than Chase Young wouldn't be completely running himself out of place.
Maybe he holds
completely getting run over.
Maybe he grabs him by the maybe he grabs him by the pads and say, "You're not sealing the end, you POS."
That's
Stop
JDR.
The backfield. Like do something.
Honestly,
do something. Sub him out. You alluded to Pringle and Crowder. How is there an offensive set? How do the Redskins have a play in the playbook where those are the two receivers in the X and Z position? How is that possible that you don't have Jahan or Terry on the field? How is that possible? That's a coaching oversight. That is impossible unless they both sustained an injury because they ran a shallow cross into each other. There's no scenario where your primary two receivers on the field are Jamison Crowder and whatever Pringle's first name is. It's impossible. Impossible. And Logan will flash and he looks like a serviceable tight end.
Logan
he doesn't know
trash.
when to go down.
I want a real tight end.
I can't do it with this team. It's extremely, extremely frustrating. And the problem is there's nowhere to go from here. You were supposed to handily beat the Bears, beat the Falcons, beat the Giants, and then challenge the Eagles. Now there's that was their path to 5-2, which could have been 6-1 if they go for 2 and beat the Eagles. Now we're sitting here and we're saying you probably aren't going to beat the Falcons if you come out that flat. You will definitely lose to your division rivals in the Giants because, by the way, DJ can't play quarterback for shit, but he owns this team. He just owns them. He always plays well against them. He's probably going to rip a 60-yard run straight down the middle of the field like he always does.
And
so
we'll
now
be shocked by it.
Now what? It's over.
That's what I'm saying. You have to fire everybody, and no player is safe. Trade everyone, recoup every pick you can possibly get back, and let the next GM and head coach rebuild you. And I was telling this to you earlier. The Philadelphia Eagles have rebuilt themselves, top down, completely full-on makeovers 5 or 6 times since they lost Andy Reid. And they are always the talk of the NFL, and they have the Chip Kelly fast offense. And then they have what's-his-face with Peterson and the Super Bowl run. And then they have Sirianni and what's-his-face with Jalen. Like, just top down over and over and over again, rebuild. And somehow, some way, their GM just keeps attracting more and more players and just trade rapes the entire league. And he's like, I'll give you this bum and you give me AJ Brown. And I'll give you a 7th round pick and you give me DeAndre Swift. and he's
Could
just
you imagine that
owning
conversation?
the league.
Hey, Andy Reid, you're Eric Bieniemy. Should I go coach for the Commanders? Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Andy Reid's been
He's
trade
still-
raping the
he's-
Redskins
he's
his
still
entire life.
crushing-
He's doing it again.
Yeah. Here we are.
I will not let YouTube bozos ruin my good mood. Okay, I got a lot of good stuff going on, but we got to save that for out
You
of the
should not be
podcast.
in a good mood if you spent $160 on Redskins gear today.
I'm my throat hurts. I'm finished. I mean, this is embarrassing. I got nothing left to say. JDR, if he's coaching the team in 10 days or whenever 9 days from now or 8, whatever it is, like I don't know if I can watch the game. Like I don't think I can continue to support like this complete. It's just a slap in the face to fans. And frankly, Harris being in the box, yucking it up when you're losing by 60 on national TV, it's not a good look. Like it's just not a good look. That's it's so disappointing. So disappointing. I got nothing.
Mark my words. I will say we will retweet it on our Twitter account. Ron Rivera will be seen within the next 3 days saying the truth of the matter is, because he always says that, and then he will spew out some garbage excuse and nothing will change. And we will be here Tuesday after the Falcons game, ripping into the team some more.
Joe, hey, listen, it could be much worse. You could be Joe Biden right now, who's about to get run over. You could be
or Joe Biden's dog.
You could be Trevor Bauer's accuser and keep doing horrible interviews. Okay, where you're getting destroyed. There's plenty of people. It could be you could be Kevin McCarthy right now. There's plenty of people that it could be much worse. Joe.
You're not wrong. Okay. Thank you for the perspective, Stevie. Thank you so much.
I knew Trevor Bauer's accuser would get you going.
Well, I mean, he's clearly not guilty. Will anyone retract anything that was said about him? Nope. There's no accountability in the media. Zero. Zippy zero. So, okay, we'll save that for Tuesday. Thank you for popping on, Stevie. I hope you have a good weekend. FPU too. Listen, Commanders can't ruin our Sunday because they're not playing. So enjoy Red
Cowboys
Zone.
will probably win, so it'll be ruined somehow. The Cowboys got motivated after this. They'll beat the Niners and then whatever.
I think that's the
juicy game Sunday night.
Yeah,
juicy.
Very good game.
Good one. Thank you, boys. Have a good weekend. Until next week, I guess we're out. We'll try to recover from this one as a podcast and as a town. Shows available on all social media platforms and anywhere you get your podcast, or stream us live on YouTube, X, and Facebook if you so choose. Thank you for hanging out with us. Until next time, we're out.